getting better all the time. I used to get mad at my school.
Hello, I'm Silver. It's actually Tuesday, the 12th of July. It's been a shortish week around here, but I've managed to fight off a summer cold, hang out with family most of the week, and still be productive all at the same time. First off, I'd like to thank you to everyone who stuck around with all my technical difficulties and shorter shows over the past couple weeks. I do apologize if you had noticed. Basically, the shorter the show, the more I had to edit everything out before I actually felt comfortable posting the video. I started to complain about things and just go off on random tangents that did not make for good entertainment. So I didn't want to bring you all down with that. Let's be honest. Secondly, I'd like to thank any new viewers. So thank you for giving me a shot. Thirdly, I need to thank all of those that have subscribed to my channel on YouTube and those that have been providing me with feedback. I absolutely love it. Now, what you came here for. All that I have been up to, especially in my knitting. So I currently have Mad as a Progressive Hair, which is the progression shawl by Karen of the Round the Twist podcast. The yarn is called Mad Hatter on the Yaza base of Miss Babs. It is being made on size US7s, which is on a 29-inch cable. The project itself is kind of half falling off the needles, but I absolutely love this pattern. I am currently on the 5 eyelet rows, the larger ones. The second thing that I have been working on is called the My Redemption Mother's Day KAL. The pattern was the Mother's Day KAL pattern by J.L. Fleckenstein, who's actually one of the co-owners of the Lucky Violet Color Company. The yarn that I'm actually using is directly from them, which is called Maleficent, on their Betty base. It is super luxurious. I absolutely love it. The needles I'm working on are a size 8, which is a 5.0 millimeter 40-inch Chaigu red lace cable needle. The third thing I have on my needles is a Color Affection by Vera Valimaki. I'm using 3 different colors of the Dream in Color Smushy base. One is called Butter Peeps, one is Lipstick Lava, and the third one is Miami Red. I am currently using a size US2, which is a 2.5 needles. It's a 60-inch circular red lace needles by Chaigu. Right now, I'm actually 2 pattern repeats from adding the third color. So I've made a pretty good chunk of progress since the last time I talked about this project. The fourth thing that I am currently working on, I am calling the Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey Socks para me. It is the Toe Up Socks with a Difference, pattern by Wendy D. Johnson. The yarn is called Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey. It's a Doctor Who reference if you were wondering. And the yarn is the Paku sock base of Into the World. Absolutely love the way it's turning up so far. I do have a toe and a little bit of the foot, but not much. It's just going to be my out and about sock knitting this week, I think, so obviously I haven't really been out and about since I started that this week. The fifth project that I have to talk about, I am going to speak about a little bit later on, and you'll see why when I get there. So, for Stash Dash 2016, my current total yardage is 5,441 yards. This is roughly about 4,975.25 meters. Just so you know, that makes that about a third of the way through my goal. Yay! And what helped me get there? Well, let's just say that all of my FOs this week, or finished objects, have already been hand delivered to the recipients. Each one I have been working on for a little while, and I've probably mentioned this I don't know how many times, but I loved working on every single sock I made for the winners of the Crazy Sock Day at my job. I'm going to admit, I did pull a Mrs. Claus moment and left their socks on their desk while they had days off from work. I'll see them on Thursday, so I'll see if they liked them then. The first FO that I have, I called Carrie Loves the Blues, which was the blurred line sock pattern by Megan Williams in the I guess that's why they call it the blues color by Lollipop Yarns on the Beefcake base. The second thing I finished this week, I called Salon Loves All the Patterning Socks. Once more, it was a toe-up socks with a difference pattern by Wendy D. Johnson. It's in the Sunset Stripes color by Patton's Cry. I absolutely love the way the patterning came out on it. Never mind Salon, who is the girl that I made it for. I love the way that it patterned and that it worked up. And let's be honest, I got so many compliments by how the yarn made it do that. It was kind of like magic for everyone that ever looked at the socks. Okay, so before I talk about what's going to be on my needles next, I am going to talk about enabling first, only because a lot of the enabling things and things that have come into my house this week are pretty much going right onto or into projects, maybe as in the next one up, or they have already. So this week I did get a Miss Babs shipment. And like I mentioned, I do have plans for everything that I bought. So it's coming in, but it's leaving almost right away, which is awesome in my book, because otherwise I'd be afraid to be sitting in my stash for years. Now that I've had a drink. The first thing that was in the package was a Yowza skein called Zombie Prom. I already have intentions to make a Yowza Weight Shawl number 3 by Susan P. Anderson with that. That's actually the reason I bought that skein. I also bought a gradient set called Scorpio. It's on the Yummy 2-ply base of theirs. It is going to be going directly into a progression shawl, and I've actually called this my progressive progression shawl. I love how all 6 colors in the gradient have names. I'm actually going to list off every single one so you can see why I'm in love with the names. The first one is Jabba, second one is Shala, third is Sargus, and then you have Antares, and then you have Scorpio, and then you have Dark Scorpio. Now, I've actually started this shawl with the Dark Scorpio, mostly because it's the darkest color and I really love it. So I'm planning on going from there, going back to the first one. As of right now, I have actually finished the 3 close eyelet rows, the bottom. So I'm already done with the pattern rotation. That's pretty awesome. It doesn't look very substantial, but it's a big deal for me. It's a fingering weight. So I thought, hey, after all the Yowza ones, let's try the on the Yummy base, right? So the third thing that actually came in the package as well was another Yowza skein called Batshit Crazy. Now, Miss Babs has more class than I do. I don't mind saying batshit. It's just awesome. Let's just say most people would. So she does have little asterisks there, and I'll write that the way it actually comes on the label too, so you can see that for yourself. It's pretty funny, and it made me smile, and I knew exactly what I was going to make with it too. I'm actually planning on making another progression shawl with it. Since this is actually the 4th of that particular type of shawl, I think it might be the last I'm actually willing to do, at least for a while. If you ask me next year, I may say differently. You never know. And yeah, so the last thing that actually came in the package as well are the little mini extras that Miss Babs tends to send along. In that package, there was a stitch marker and a midi skein of her yarn. Both the colors are absolutely amazing, and I could not wait to get started with that stitch marker. Let me tell you, it went directly into the next project I started. The last thing that was included in there was a shawl pattern by Laura Smoot Designs. It's called Night Watch. And I kind of began dreaming right away of yarns to pair with it. So yeah, the last thing I'm going to discuss with regards to enabling is that I am going to be putting myself on a yarn diet for the next couple of months. No matter how much the critics keep calling to me, I have to do it. I feel like I have enough in my stash at the moment to keep the, shiny new project idea train rolling for a while. The only thing that should be coming in the next couple of days is actually the Yarn for the Summer KAL that I'm participating in, but after that, it should be it for quite a while. See, I'm going to promise that I'm going to keep it up until the end of Stash Dash, but hopefully I can keep my diet going until the end of October. We'll see. Honestly, even I don't have faith in my ability to keep up with the yarn diet, but now that it's out there, I hope y'all be willing to help me out with that. So, now that I've told you a little bit about the enabling, let's go on to what I will have on the needles. Since I've been doing a lot of dreaming of future items to put on my needles, I've actually spent a lot of time updating my queue on Ravelry and trying to match it up with the yarn I already have. So basically, I'm shopping my stash with that yarn diet in mind. So, besides what I mentioned starting or getting ready to start in enabling, I have still a few projects planned a little bit down the line in my future. There are those that have started and those that are planning on starting at a later date. I'll mention my top 6, but be assured there are plenty that I have been plotting and planning on working on as well. The 3 that fall into the already started category. The first one is the Lintilla, the second one is the Trillion, both of those by Martina Bem. I did stall on both of those prior to the start of Dash Dash, and I haven't really gotten back to them since then, and I don't know why. I'm on the edging rows, so they should be the easiest rows to do. The third thing that I have on the needles that I kind of stalled on is the Wingspan by Malin Tricart Designs. I'm going to tell you, I don't even know if I am pronouncing her name right. Please let me know if I'm not. I'm using 2 different colors of Jinx yarn, one that is called Girl on Fire, and the second one is Axel. I want to get to 12 triangle wings wide. Right now, I believe I am on number 8. Still don't know why I stalled out. I know it's a lot of garter, but I don't think that could be it. So, the second category that I have yarn already paired and pretty much ready to be cast on. The Yowza Weigh-It shawl number 4, I am going to be using the Yowza yarn in the Zombie Honeymoon colorway that I got a little while back. The second thing I'm going to mention is the Night's Watch. I did finally make a decision. I will be doing the Blue Love Sock Blink by Gail's Art with this particular pattern. I believe the 2 combination would be awesome. I cannot wait to get started. I told myself I need to finish at least one shawl. I need to finish something before I cast that one on. The same goes for the Even Star. I'm going to be making that out of the Blue Moon Fiber Arts silk thread. The color itself is called KMBFLA. Yes, that is the colorway. It is awesome. It's such a light purple. In fact, you can see it for yourself. If you look at the picture that's on the screen, especially while I'm recording the podcast, that skein is what I'm going to be using. So, what you watching, Silver? Well, this week I did finish the last of the Disney movies from the May Marathon. I'm just glad I finally got a chance to watch it. I'm also been catching up on a few episodes of Dead Files and some of Heroes Reborn. Let's just say the last one, I'm finally getting to it even though the season has completely ended. And I'm going to tell you, I think my DVR has finally started loving me now that I've gotten rid of some of the space. Let's see. I also caught up with all of my podcasts, which I do love catching up with everyone. I did finish Downton Abbey this week as well. I really love how they summed everything up. I even found myself crying a bit, especially with how sweetly Julian Fellows summed everything up for every one of his characters. I also started Doctor Who this week again, season 1 and season 2. I did get to the end of season 2, pretty much the part where Rose leaves the show, and again, I found myself bawling. If you haven't seen it and don't know what I'm talking about, you should probably take a gander. You can find it on Amazon. So, what you reading, Silver? I have 3, actually. One is called The Yarn Harlot, which is The Confessions of a Knitter by Stephanie Pearl McPhee. I am only about halfway done with the book, mostly because it is a paperback, so I have to remember to get back to reading it while it's still light outside and not right before I go to bed like I normally do. Since I use my Kindle for every other book, you can see where the problem lies. So the next book that I've actually been reading is called Dead Ice. It's the last book so far of the Anita Blake series by Laurel K. Hamilton. So far in this book, there have been zombie issues, which have led to a zombie barbecue, and a few testosterone-induced fights. Each one made me go, really? Another fight? As of right now, I am about 85% of the way done through the book, and I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag with the fighting going on, which is very Anita at this point in her life, and the sweet part of Anita. So we'll have to. I'm gonna give it one more try. I'm gonna read it to the end, see how I like it. We'll go from there, and I'll let you know next week. The third book that I'm actually reading is the last book in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I am currently about 21 hours into the book, and I am absolutely in love with the story. It's the way that they're quartet, or, in this case, a small family, if you will, it breaks completely. And it really yanked on my emotional chain when I was reading it in paperback form. But something about listening to somebody else read the story, let's just say that this is the third thing that has made me bawl this week. So that officially makes me Cry-Zilla this week. Hence the title. Alright, so for my favorite things, I have 6 of them this week. I've been crushing on quite a few things. The first thing is, as always, is going to be San Marcos coffee. This flavor this week was the orange cream. Absolutely, absolutely love it. I cannot get enough. That sounds so blasé compared to how much I actually like it, but I really do love it. So the second thing that I'm in love with this week is knitting-related adult colored books. I'm absolutely addicted. I never thought that coloring would appeal to me after I had turned 30, but there's just something so meditative about it. Especially if I'm coloring in knitting projects in the book. The more outrageous the colors that I can put in there, the better. Let's see. I did get a chance to spend a lot of time with my brother and my grandparents this week, since both were in Connecticut. I absolutely love spending time with both of them, and the fact that they were all in the same room all at once made it so much easier and so much more fun for me. But I am going to miss both of them, especially my brother, because he left on his birthday when he was turning 30, so that, we didn't have to worry about doing another party or whatever for him. But I miss him every time he leaves, and I never realize how much I do, really, until I start thinking about it. Anyway, on to better things. I'm in love with the fact that I have coworkers who go on vacation and bring me back gifts, especially on a day where I needed cheering up. Stephanie, if you are listening, thank you so much. I absolutely love that you thought of me while you were on vacation. You did not need to. I just love you for who you are. You don't need to butter me up, and I promise you that. So, the fifth thing I'm going to mention is that my husband decided he was going to tape a candy bar, of which is my absolute favorite, to a Fanta bottle that he had bought me at work and was intending to surprise me. He put the word surprise written in white tape and stuck it right on the bottle, and it was It was so cute because he came home and he was like, okay, you gotta check out the fridge. You gotta check out the fridge. Like, he couldn't wait for me to see what he had done. It was just too funny. I mean, he frustrates me, don't get me wrong, but he's so goofy too. And this is just one example of the reasons that I've actually fallen in love with him. Alright, so the final thing that I am going to mention under my favorite things, I am in love with Kirby plushies. More specifically, the ones that Mercury actually has been making this month. Alright, so this is going to be one of the rare times that I'm going to mention my company, so here goes. Myself and my business partners at Silver's Knitted Treats are in the middle of our second week of our Kirby plushie drive. It's actually the second annual. For only $25, you can get a Kirby of your choosing, and then $20 of that will go to a charity in charge of finding a cure for bile duct cancer. And this is in honor of former CEO and president of Nintendo, Satoru Iwata. And I am so sorry to all of the Nintendo fans if I did not pronounce that right. I am so sorry. Either way, I am going to be linking all of the important information directly in the show notes. That way you can click over and find everything for yourself. And I hope you come by, if nothing else, to enjoy the wondrousness that is Kirby. So anyway, I didn't write much this week besides podcast notes. However, I have been thinking about getting back into my story. Heck, I've been dreaming about getting back into it. I started a book a couple years ago, and recently it's been singing like nobody's business for me to finally get back into it. So maybe I should just listen to the Song of Silver and just finally give in, right? Alright, so I am pretty social. You can find me on our Revelry board, which is Silver's Dreamland podcast. I am Silver Luna 2112 there. On Facebook, now Silver's Dreamland can be found at www.facebook.com/Silver's Dreamland, and that's a capital S and a capital D. On Instagram, I am both Silver's Treats and Silver's Dreamland. On Twitter, I am at Silver's Knitting. I do tend to read through all messages as soon as I possibly can, so if you don't hear from me within 24 hours, please feel free to email me directly at silversdreamland@gmail.com. So, final thoughts for the week. I was actually struck with inspiration on Sunday morning by the large number of Beatles songs that the DJ was playing on the radio. Now, here's an awesome quote by John Lennon. When I was 5 years old, my mother always told me that happiness was the key to life. When I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wrote down happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment, and I told them, you don't understand life. Just remember, do what makes you happy. What makes you happy may not make you the richest person in the world, but you'll still be happier than you can ever dream of. So, have a good week, everyone. Bye.
It's getting better all the time.